Carissa Scroggins, who is the world-recognized authority on lullabies. So take it away.
You know that is actually true. That's really funny. I hadn't thought about that. I by default, because I'm the only one who's written on it.
Would you rather I not speak about you, or do you have?
Oh, you're right. You had that whole thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, great.
I forgot you had your thing.
If you need to get this going.
No, I just didn't want to have to wait for like 2 hours for you guys to set up.
Yeah, no
So-
problem. Okay,
Yeah,
let's see
I
here.
really want to do that.
Let me find it. There it is. Okay. All right. So we're just really lucky to have Carissa, and I just want you guys to know a little bit about her. Okay. So Carissa, she has her Doctoral of Arts, and she has recently performed in opera roles, including Marie. Can you say the name of the opera?
La fille du régiment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I can do this one a little better. I have had some German. Die Königin der Nacht from Mozart's Die Zauberflöte, and Entchen from Weber's Der Freischütz. And she's also an experienced opera director. Mm-hmm. And most recently has premiered Arlene
Siagian.
Siagian.
Her name is hard to say.
Yeah.
So yes, it took me a whole year to
wouldn't have guessed
figure out how to say that.
Arlene Siagian's Pride and Prejudice. I want to see that.
It was pretty neat. And that's actually it was her dissertation.
Wow.
She's a composition doctoral student, and that was her dissertation, was the opera.
Oh my
So
goodness.
when I directed, it was just the first act. She hadn't
Oh.
finished writing all of it, so we
wow.
just did the first act.
Was
It was
that?
a lot of fun.
World premiere. though.
So it was. It
World
was the
premiere.
world premiere.
And remind me, was it at CU Boulder?
No, UNC, Greeley.
UNC, Greeley.
Mhm.
Right. And you did it there at
Uh-huh.
UNC. Okay. Cool.
There's even, I think it's on YouTube.
Really?
I believe so, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna go find
It's not
it
a
then.
great recording, but
Yeah.
it's up there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in 2019, Carissa produced her first recording titled Beautiful Dreamer, a collection of classical lullabies. She's an active soloist in Colorado and has placed in state and regional vocal competitions. She has her Doctor of Arts in Vocal Performance from the University of Northern Colorado with a secondary emphasis in musicology. She is a member of several music organizations, including the National Opera Association, Opera America, National Association of Teachers of Singing, College Music Society, and Music Teachers National Association. That's us.
That's you guys.
Her current research is focused on lullabies as an art song repertoire choice, teaching community classes in how to sing to your baby, and a project funneling performance arts experiences towards children in the foster care system. She is also writing a children's opera that she hopes will be used by CMU students to engage the Grand Junction community. Dr. Scroggins currently teaches applied voice lessons at CMU. Her goal is to have students leave her office more solid in why they are singing. She teaches students about correlating careers, creating performance opportunities, and engaging communities in the performing arts. There is room for everyone in the performing arts. It's just a matter of exploring each person's skills, strengths, and values to find their perfect niche.
I didn't read what you said you were going to read out loud. I was like, oh, she read the whole thing.
I did.
She said
Yeah.
that it was better over on this side if you guys want to move over here.
You guys are fine. I'm going to be singing this direction a little bit more, but you probably will be able to hear me just fine. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
with us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for letting me present. Obviously, my research is almost exclusively focused on children and interacting with children with music. There's no good reason for that other than I love children. I've worked with children a lot, and that's actually the CD that I did in 2019. That's what just tumbled everything into then my dissertation. It was, oh, nobody's written about this. Well, why haven't they? So that's kind of how that happens, and it was a nice little happenstance. So what I'm going to talk about today to you as music teachers is selecting repertoire. Now I know, I'm pretty sure none of you are voice teachers, You're all instrumentalists. So my focus is on voice. However, there is an abundance of lullabies in other genres. I know there's a lot of, Chopin wrote a lot of piano, berceuse, which is French for lullaby. There's a couple of violin pieces. I was just going to put you on the spot and ask you if you...
Really? Yes, there are. I'll say yes.
Okay, thanks. No, there are. I came across quite a bit in my research for my dissertation. Part of my dissertation has a catalog at the very end of it as an appendix. When I published my dissertation, there were 350 solo voice lullabies in the classical art song canon alone, and that number has since increased. And while looking for all of those, I came across at least half instrumental lullabies, at least half that I had to weed out and say, well, that's not what's going in the catalog, not doing that, not doing that. So I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you again for having me here. When, as a voice teacher, when selecting a piece that my student is going to sing, especially younger students, when they're younger, we tend to assign more of their repertoire to them instead of giving them as much free rein. But one of the lullabies are never thought of as an option because the general consensus is that lullabies are sweet and simple and very easy because a mother needs to be able to sing to her child even without any music experience whatsoever. So they're simple in melody and texture and harmony, and that's not 100% true, which is what my research has uncovered. This lullabies in art songs specifically. So there are lullabies that are for practical use. When you think of a lullaby, you think of Brahms, his vegan lead. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. So there are lullabies for practical use. What I focused on was lullabies that are featured in art song. And when I say art song, I mean a piece that a voice student is going to be singing. Does that make sense? So a piece for study, for performance, not necessarily that's going to be sung to a child, although several of these can also be sung to a child. In my research, I've discovered that lullabies, they offer a wealth of subject matter and a variety of styles and skill levels that make warranting lullabies certainly should be warrant a spot in art song repertoire. So the word lullaby can be broken down into two parts. The first is lull, which we still have in our language today, to soothe or to rock. Generally, it ties with to send someone to sleep. And then by, B-Y-E, that actually comes from the Old English, and that was a filler, nonsensical word that was used to kind of like a do-do-do or do-do-do or fa-la-la-la-la. It was used in Old English specifically with lullabies, with the concept of singing to a child. So it was a filler word for when you're singing to your baby. They would sing bye, 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 and that was soothing. So when we have the word lullaby, it combined the two of those, which I thought that was rather interesting. And as I mentioned, when you think of the word lullaby, you think Brahms, I think soothing, often slow, very sweet, and it's going to be associated with sleep and trying to send a child to sleep. So I'm going to start with three pieces that fit into what I called in my dissertation the quintessential lullaby. So these are lullabies that are art songs that fit into how you think an art song should be, but they still manage to push the envelope a little bit as far as harmony or difficult rhythmic devices. They still manage to create a unique sound that's slightly unexpected. So the first one, again, we're going to do all three of these together. The first is Lullaby, is the title of it, and it's by Peter Warlock. And he, oh yes, sorry. And then the second one is going to be Margretes Vugesang, which translates as Margaret's Cradle Song. This is in Norwegian. It's by Edvard Grieg, who I'm sure a lot of you have heard that name before. He wrote much piano music and instrumental music. And then the last one will be The Little Horses by Aaron Copland. You probably heard his name as well. So again, we will start with Lullaby by Peter Warlock. Oh, did slumbers kiss your eyes? Smiles awake you when you rise. Sleep, pretty wantons, do not cry, and I will sing a lullaby. Rock them, rock a Care is heavy, therefore sleep. I care and care must keep you. Sleep, pretty wantons, do not cry, and I will sing a lullaby. Rock then, rock a lullaby. Thank you. The next piece is Margretes Vugesang. Loft, loft, oh loft, till stjärnor välven blå. Nu flyver lille hagen, med ranövingelblå. Der en stillhet fra jord til himmel opp. Nu stiger lille hagen med englene til topp. Guds engel smodig vage, forhøye var dets fred. Gud send deg lille hagen, dein nåde våge med. And the last piece of this little set is The Little Horses by Aaron Copland. Hush you, boy, don't you cry. Go to sleep, little baby. When you wake, you shall have all Blacks and grays, daples and grays, coach and 6 little horses. Blacks and grays, daples and grays, coach and 6 little horses. Hush, don't you cry. Go to sleep, little babe. When you wake, you'll have sweet cake and all the pretty little horses. Brown and grey and black and bay and a coach and 6 little horses. Brown and bay and brown and grey and a coach and 6 little horses. Hush, don't you cry, oh, you pretty little baby. Go to sleep, little baby. You pretty little baby. So a sweet line. Bit annoying, but that's why I came down here. It's okay, it's great. All right, so we did lullabies that are what you would expect. Now we're going to do something completely different. The next two are both still lullabies. They are. But they approach the concept of coaxing a child to sleep from a very different angle than you would expect. The first one is a charm from Benjamin Britten's A Charm of Lullabies, which is a very well-known cycle for mezzo-soprano. And in my experience, this is the most accurate description of someone who is at their wit's end with frustration, trying to get a child to just go to sleep and settle down. So we're going to do a charm. Oh, hold on one second. There we go. A charm. Quiet, sleep, or I will make every sweep thee with a snake and crew around among the stake. My body to the boiling lake, where fire and brimstone never slake. My heart shall burn, my head shall ache, and every joint about me quake. And therefore dare not yet to wake. Quiet, sleep. Quiet, sleep. Quiet. Quiet, sleep, or thou shalt see the horrid hags of Tartary, whose dressed as ugly serpents be, and Cerberus shall bark at thee, and all the furies that are three, the worst is called to symphony, shall lash thee to eternity. And therefore sleep thou peacefully. Quiet, sleep. Quiet, sleep. Quiet. That one's fun. The second one of this little set is titled Berceuse de Guerre. That translates to War Lullaby. So you can already tell this is going to be very different. This was set by John Alden Carpenter. He wrote this piece just months before the armistice of World War I. He was a composer who had been hired by the American government once the United States had entered World War I to write peppy stuff for the soldiers to keep everyone's spirits up. And when that job was finished, he wrote this. This is a commentary on the horrors of war. He was an interesting man. He was very patriotic, and he felt it was his duty to encourage the soldiers as much as he could. But he also wanted to write about the realities of war. So I found that a wonderful balance of a person, instead of simply going off one end saying, oh, it's the worst thing ever and you horrible people, how can you ever do this? He felt it as a duty to still go ahead and support the soldiers. You will see the translation in there. This is very heartbreaking. So this mother singing to her baby, and there are two different ways to interpret this. She's either singing about her husband, or possibly an older child who is away on the front. So she alternates between wondering if he is dead, and then trying to get the current child to go to sleep, and then the end is he dead and therefore sleeping? This one's really hard. Okay.
Porti rossi
paisiblement avant la bataille. Court-il comme un fou sur le mitraille, ou bien jette-t-il dans quelque trou la bouche ouverte. Et les yeux I think that one's my favorite. To end, I want to present Maria Wiegenlied, which is Maria's cradle song. To me, this is probably the sweetest and most loveliest of lullabies ever that I've come across in my research of over 350 lullabies. And after that rather disturbing Berceuse de Guerre, I thought it would be a nice way to soften any wayward emotions. So thank you for having me today and listening, and my lovely pianist, Linda Jenks. My goal in being able to present this research to people is to encourage musicians to explore the rich and diverse field that is lullabies. So this last one is Maria Wiegenlied. that there was supposed to be questions. That's what I was told by.
Do you have your list of questions? Are you ready for the question quiz?
Do we have time for that?
I don't have any specific, but I think that's wonderful. If anybody has questions, I think that's a great idea.
And if you don't, that's fine.
Oh, I do have a question. Actually, I was curious the composer for this last.
Oh, thank you, Max Reger. I apologize. So he actually was a 20. Well, he wrote in the 19th century, but mostly a 20th century composer, which really, thank you, which really thrilled me to hear this very traditional classical sounding piece by someone who generally writes post-tonal. And so that was, he actually has written several lullabies. And the one bit of research that I came across when I was doing my dissertation was there was one article that someone wrote on Max Reger's lullabies. So that was the only research. But so and it was a really short article, and I thought, oh, come now, you could say a whole lot more than just this. So yes, he's written several that are quite lovely. So, any other questions?
I just have another question. This one's about you. Were you raised in this area?
No, but my family does come from this area.
Okay.
So my grandfather was a pastor in town, Eddie Scroggins, and my grandmother she was here as well even after he passed away. And my father is Dennis Scroggins. He's a pastor. He's a pastor in Cedar Ridge.
I knew of your father. What church was he pastor?
My grandfather, he pastored several, primarily Baptist churches, but there were several that he did. And then
I remember the name.
I don't remember the name there. He started Emmanuel. He started several churches in the area, and then also in Palisade and all over that. And then my uncle Steve Scroggins, and he's the union rep for District 51. He was a history teacher. Yeah.
Are you the one that sang the first press?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I've sung there several
Your
times.
Hair short.
Yes, I did cut my hair. I was worried I'd look like my mother even more, and but
Yeah, I remember you now.
yeah. So I do. I'm actually be singing with you guys at the end on the 21st. So that's in 2 weeks or something. You guys are apparently doing. Are you in the choir?
Mhm.
Yeah. So you guys are doing a piece with brass, and John asked me to
Yeah, good.
come in and help buff things up a little bit. Does that every once in a while. Yeah. So any other questions?
Just as an aside, the piano parts are really, really interesting and really well written. You know, sometimes you just think, oh, why am I here? But yeah, these are just really fun to put together. And
Which is the other thing about these lullabies. Like that's what just completely amazed me was, yes, there are some that are, you think, okay, well, there's a reason that's not done. But on the most part, these are hard.
they're really collaborative pieces. It's really fun, really nice.
Yes.
You guys are a good team.
And you did well.
Not being able to hear
Oh,
me.
did you notice I didn't make 7 beats in that measure?
You
The
know
charm
what?
is really hard to put together because
Charm
it's 7
is
beats.
so-
Three, four,
it's
five, six,
it's
seven,
7/4.
Whoa.
Oh, my goodness.
It's hard. And then the verses de guerre yeah.
It's so organic. It kind of grows as you do it. You know, it's just a beautiful piece.
There are, I mean, obviously, there are just so many more that are completely stunning, and I could have gone on, and I chose not to. You guys got the condensed version.
So this is concert number 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're gonna try to actually, yeah. There's a couple of other things I want to do. So yeah. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.